Afternoon, guys. All right, so this is your first opportunity of seeing what video nights notes are going to be like. I am going to be working this weekend, hopefully, and next week on coming up with a slightly better program for doing the video. So hopefully I can get some music added in here, maybe some pictures and different stuff like that. Make it a little bit better. But for right now, I'm going to use what I used last year until I figure something else out. So we're going to be covering mean, median, and mode. I'm also covering range and something else called an outlier. The objective for this lesson basically is that you guys would be able to compute the mean, the median, and the mode for a set of data with 90% accuracy on a 10-question assignment, which we will be looking at on Monday. First thing you need to be able to expect is occasionally, not always, but occasionally, we're going to have some definitions for you to do. Now, I am not going to give you the definition of these. You can get out your math book. I believe, I'm going to double check right now, but I believe the chapter you're using is going to be possibly chapter 12, but let me double check that. But anyways, you're going to use your math book. You can look them up online. Many other ways that you would be able to check this information. But the biggest thing is that you need to come up with your own definitions, and these definitions need to be math related. Okay? You're not going to be looking up some of these definitions, like range. That may have a definition that really isn't related to math, okay? And actually, I just looked through your Algebra 1 book, and we don't have anything on here, so you're probably going to have to look all these up online or in a dictionary. But again, I want the math-related definition. So the first word is measures of central tendency. Mean, median, mode, range, and outlier. And you need to have the definitions written out when you come to class on Monday to get credit for doing your notes. So, our first example we're going to look at says the weekly salaries of 6 employees at McDonald's are $140, $220, $90, $180, $140, and $200. For these 6 salaries, okay, find part A is going to be the mean. All right? So, for the mean, they are looking for the average. When we find an average, okay, you take a sport like baseball and you find the batting average, you're going to take the number of times that the person hit, total. So the number of times the person got up to bat. So it's total possible outcomes, all right? Which in this case, there are 6 salaries. So I'm going to put 6 here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add up all of these numbers together. Okay, so 140 plus 220 plus 90 plus 180 plus 140 plus 200. And I'm going to divide that by 6. Okay, so this is going to give me a mean, and you may use a calculator, of something over 6. So if we go ahead and we add all these up, 140 and 220 is going to be 360. 360 plus 90 is going to be 450, and then you're going to add 180 to 450. That's going to be 630, plus 140 is going to be 770, and then you're going to add 200, which is going to give you the number 970. You're going to divide that by 6, which is going to give you a mean of $161.66 repeating cents. So you're going to go ahead and round that up, and we will actually write this as $161.67. Okay? So this is going to be your mean, and we're going to box that in. Your median now, okay? Median, where have you heard the word median? Well, if any of you would like to drive in the future, or if any of you do drive, you may have heard of the term median before. That is typically when you're driving down the freeway, and there's that section in between the lanes that are going one direction and the lanes that are going the other direction, that center part, that is what you call the median. Or you could see it on some of the main roads here, where the lanes going one direction are separated by something from the lanes going the other direction. So that's the middle. What you do to find the median is you're going to put all your numbers in numerical order from smallest to largest. So I'm going to rewrite these as 90, 140, 140. Let's see, we got 180. You have 200. And you have 220. That should be 6 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, there is a trick. If there is an odd number of numbers, okay? Easiest way, the way I do this, the easiest way I think to do it is when you're going to find, okay, median means the middle that's in the number that is in the middle. So I'm just going to start by working my way inward. So I'm going to cross off 90 and 220, 140 and 220. Now if I cross these off, I don't have a number in the middle, okay? If I had an odd number of numbers, then I would be left with one number in the middle. But in this case, I have an even number of numbers. So I have 2 numbers left in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 2 numbers here, and I'm going to find the average. So I'm going to take 140 plus 180, and I'm going to divide that by 2. So 80 and 40 is 120. And that would mean that you have 320. You're going to divide by 2. 2 goes into 32 16 times. And you have your 0 there, so 160. So that means that my median is going to be 160. Okay? And if you can tell, you can actually tell that 140 and 180, what's halfway between those is 160. Okay? Let me give you another example just really quick here. If I was to have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? And I told you to find the median, I would work my way inwards. Well, now I'm left with just one number, which is 5. Okay? If I have 2, 3, 6, sorry. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and I work my way in, I'm left with 2 numbers. So I do 4 plus 6 divided by 2, which is going to be 10 divided by 2, which is 5, and this would be my median. Okay? So this is an example of what happens when you have an odd number of numbers, and this is an even number. Okay? All right. So I found my mean, I found my median. Now I'm going to find the mode, which if you did your definitions, the mode is the number that shows up most frequently. So if I look at all these numbers, 220 shows up once, 90 is only here once, 180 is only once, 200 is only once, 140 has 1, 2. So my mode would be 140. Now if you have more than one number that shows up frequently, so if let's say I had 140 showed up twice and 180 showed up twice, then I would have 2 modes. My mode would be 140 and 180. The last thing it asks you to find is going to be the range. And that was one of your definitions right here. So you should have this as well. And the range is just the difference between the biggest number and the smallest number. So difference means subtraction. And whenever you're dealing with largest and smallest number, you always put the largest number first, the smallest number next. So this would be 90. And this would give you 220 minus 90, which would equal 130. So my range would be 130. Okay? This is your first example. Let's go ahead and go to example number 2. Your grades on 3 exams are 80, 93, and 90. What grade do you need on the next exam to have an average of 90 on the 4 exams? So it gives the word average, which should remind you that it is the word mean. Well, how did we find the mean? Okay, we added up all the numbers that we had, 80, 93, 91. We're looking for another test, which we do not have. What grade do you need on the next exam? Well, if I don't know what something is in algebra, what do? I always replace it with a variable. So I'm going to put an x. Divided by, how many test scores do I have? Well, I have 1, 2, 3, and 4, even though I don't know what it is yet. And I know that when I find the average, it has to equal 90. So we're going to add up 80, 93, and 91 to start. Okay? So you have 80 plus 93 plus 91 is 264 plus x divided by 4 equals 90. Okay? So now you have a pretty simple math equation to solve. I need to know what x is. So the first thing, I'm looking to get x by itself. So in order to get rid of my denominator, I'm going to multiply everything by 4. This will cancel out. This leaves me with 264 plus x equals 90 times 4 is going to be 360. And now I got to solve for x. So I'm adding 264, which means I need to do the opposite operation, which means I'm going to subtract 264 to both sides. This is going to leave me with x equals 360 minus 264 is going to be 96. So this tells me that on my next test, I would have to score a 96% in order to get a 90% average for 4 tests. All right, example number 4. 8 students from Mr. Stevens' 3rd period go bowling. When they complete the game, here are their scores. You're going to find the mean, the median, the mode, the range, and you need to tell if there are any outliers. Okay? So the mean. Mean is the average. Remember this. In order to find the average, how many scores do we have? We have 8 students, so we have 8 scores all over. You're going to add all the scores up. 104 plus 117 plus 104 plus 136 plus 189 plus 109 plus, I'm going to run out of space, 113 plus 104. Okay? We're going to add up all these scores and we're going to find the average. So you have 104 plus 117 plus 104 plus 136 plus 189 plus 109 plus 113 plus 104. That's 976. I'm going to divide that by 8. And I get that the average score, or the mean score, is 122. Next, median. Smallest to largest, you got 104, you got 104, 104, there are 3 of them. Then it looks like 109, 113, 117, 136, and 189. And now let's cross them off. 104, 189. 104, 136, 104, 117. You have 2. So you're going to do 109 plus 113 divided by 2. 113 plus 109 is 222. Divided by 2 is 111, giving you a median score of 111. The mode, this is the most frequent number. So which number shows up the most? That should be pretty clear. It's going to be 104. You have 1. Oh, that did not work out the way I wanted it to. But let's go back here. Red. You have 104, 104, 104. So my mode is going to be 104. Range. Try to remember what the range is. Range is the difference between the largest number and the smallest number, which is going to be 189 minus 104, giving you a range of 85. And last but not least, outliers. Are there any outliers? Well, what is an outlier? Okay, in a group of numbers, an outlier would be a number that doesn't appear to fit. Okay, it's the one number that is either really low or it's the one number that's really high compared to everything else. So looking at all these numbers, they're all pretty close except for which number? 189. Okay, 189 is much higher than all the rest. So our outlier would be the score 189. Okay? All right, guys. Make sure you write your steps, minimum of 3 steps or a paragraph 3 to 4 sentences long explaining how we do these problems. Make sure you have your definitions done. And then last but not least, if you have any questions about the notes, something you didn't understand, something you need clarification on, or something maybe you just want to see done again, make sure you write that down, because Monday when you come into class, one of the first things I'm going to ask is, are there any questions from the notes? And that'll give you a chance to ask your questions, okay? Have a great weekend. I will try to get the rest of the notes for next week posted by Monday. So just be paying attention for that, and I will send you a message on Remind 101. Have a great weekend, guys. We'll see you Monday.